So let's read this. Marlene and Candace are both 2.1 meters tall, very tall, with arms stretched out, that is, okay, and play on the same volleyball team. On a given play, Candace is 1.75 meters from the left edge of the court. So Candace is 1.75 left court. When she sets the ball to Marlene, who is 4 meters from Candace. Okay. The ball reaches a maximum height of 3.5. What do we call that? That is the vertex. So not always, listen carefully, not always will the vertex be given. Okay, but if you see maximum or minimum, you know it's the vertex. Okay, and anything that's being thrown or anything like that, a ball being thrown or kicked or something, has a parabolic motion to it. The coach wants them to create a polynomial function that models the height of the ball over the horizontal distance, the width of the field. Determine the equation that models the path of the ball. So let's do that first. I would say you should always try to sketch this scenario. So what's happening here? We are going to compare distance and height. And this is just a sketch. You won't get marks for doing this part. You will get marks for coming up with the points and the equation. Okay. So, where does this start? So, let's start with Candace here. Let's make this is the left side of the court. Okay, where is Candace? Candace is 1.75 meters from the edge of the court. So 1.75 what? The ball leaves at what height? So I shouldn't have made a dot there just yet, but does the ball start on the ground? It's volleyball, right? We start somewhere over here. This is just the 1.75. I'm making this a line here. This is just the 1.75 in terms of the x value. Can we have a coordinate for that? 1.75 what? 210. Okay, 210. And then the ball is volleyed, right? Or set to over here, that's Marlene, right? Marlene. And this over here is Candace. Okay. And what do we know? What else do we know here? We know that the highest point that we ever reach is what? 3.5, correct? But we don't know, it doesn't tell us like what the x value is at that point. So just fill in the gaps for now. What do we know about here where Marlene is? We know that the height, it told us there, the problem told us that they both have the same height. Okay? And so when it goes from Candace to Marlene, we're both at 2.1. Do we have the x value here perhaps? Yeah, the question tells us that it's 4 meters away. So we add 4 here. This is 4 right here, which would put us at 5.75 at this point. Okay, the x value. So 5.75 goes there. And how many points do we need for a quadratic? We need a minimum of 3. Okay. So how would you fill in this gap here? Divided by 2. Yes. So you take this, and because it's your vertex, we can divide it by 2. Okay. We have to be careful. Can we divide 5.75 by 2? We have to figure out the middle between these 2 points. right? The middle here. If this had started at 0, right, and then you went to the middle and then back down, then you could just divide this by 2 to get that. But we're not starting at 0, correct? We're starting at 1.75. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1.75 plus 5.75, and we divide that in half. Okay, that gives us 7.5, and then divide that in half, and you get 3.75. Okay, so that's what's happening. This is 3.75. So this divided by 2. I rushed it there, sorry guys. How else could we have done this? We know that this is 4, correct, from end to end? That means that this is 2 and this is 2. So 1.75 plus 2 gets us to the 375, or 575 minus 2 also gets us there. So there are more than one way, there's more than one way to get to the 375. And now I messed it up for you guys, right? You don't have white out? I hope you didn't use a pen. Why can I not do this? Because I didn't start at 0, okay? That's why I couldn't do this. So that makes this problem a little harder. So here we have now distance and height. And I'm just going to put these points down. 1.75, 2.10. 3.75, 3.5. And 5.75, 2.1. Okay. You put this into L1, L2. You come up with your quadratic formula, quadratic equation, I should say. I'll just give you the answer. It's negative 0.35 x squared plus 2.63x minus 1.42. Sorry. There it is. We're just going to focus on finding that equation now, not so much in answering the rest. You could answer that if you wanted to. I will post a key. Next, let's go to 60. For this one, I know this one was tricky, but always try to question, right? When you fill in, when you do things, does it jive, right? Does it make sense? And you probably would have found out that this could not have been half of that, because half of this would have been what? 2.625, something like that, which doesn't work. Let's go to 60. The gateway arc in St. Louis, United States, is approximately a parabola. Stephen learns that the arc is 192 meters wide. Diagram is not to scale, obviously. So here it is. You've got information here. From end to end is 192. At 2.5 meters from the starting point, watch this, guys. 2.5 meters from the starting point, Stephen measures the height of the arc to be 10 meters. So here it is. How can you come up with your 3 points here? What's that point right there? We start at what? This is very powerful. This is 0, 0. Yes. And this would be 2.5, 10. No vertex, right? No vertex there. So 0, 0, 2.5, 10. And how do I find my third point? Remember, this goes all the way down. Here, it touches the ground again. What's the coordinate of this end here? 192, 0. Yeah. So those are our 3 points. So no vertex here, no vertex whatsoever, and that's okay. You won't always have one. So sometimes you just have to read the situation. In this case, they gave you a diagram. So you go distance. What do they want? The equation that models the shape of the arc. Show your work, express the coefficients to 3 decimal places they want. That has happened on the exam too. So they want 3 decimal places in front of every variable. So we're going to go with D and H, distance and height, 0, 0, 2.5, 10, 192, 0. I'm just going to ask you right now, just so you can try it and make sure you see the whole thing on your screen. Can you come up with your equation real quick? You do it yourselves here.
And then we'll
This is what I get. What would you do with C? It's just 0, okay? So please don't. That actually, you get a -1 on the exam. If you put negative 2.52, you're going to be in trouble. So anytime it's E, it's 0. And we know that, right? Like, we're starting at 0, right? So our y-intercept is 0. We're expecting that last value there to be 0. So this is your... Can you see it on your screen? Have you tried it? I'm going to try zoom 9. Why not? But it's a really bad one in this case because the only points that I have would be the origin, the 210, and the 192, 0. It doesn't have anything up top there for the vertex. So chase the curve. Window. I do have a negative x min. I like that. I also want a negative y min. I'm going to go negative 5. And let's chase up, let's go 50. Nope, not good enough. So we're going to go 200. That's a pretty good window, okay? So always have a little bit of negatives here around you. You know what can guide you with how much negative you should have? Is look at what you have on your max. So if it's 200, then you could go negative, 15 or negative 10 and your y min to kind of balance it a little bit. But there you have it. Could you now find how tall this arc is? Yes, you could, right? You have everything you need to figure out the vertex, anything else. So there it is. One last one here. We need to go to 62 with me. 62. Remember the profit questions last year in grade 11? This is it. I will just show you how to come up with the equation one more time in case it shows up. And then I'm done after this. I'll give you the ACs that I've prepared for you to do in preparation for tomorrow. You run a canoe rental business, right? You currently charge $12 per canoe. Currently charge $12 per canoe. And on average, right now at that price, you're renting 36 a day. Okay. An industry journal says that every 50-cent increase, for every 50-cent increase in rental, you can expect to lose 2 rentals a day. Use this information, and it's all, usually this has to do with how can we maximize our income? How can we make the most? What should you charge? Okay. So the idea is, folks, there's always a column for the price, like how much are you charging per whatever. There's always what I call this middle column, I call it items, right? How many items are you selling? And revenue is always going to be the last one. Sometimes we call this profit. total sales, you name it. Okay, and you just follow what the question is saying. Does it matter? Look up here real quick. Does it matter if you put canoes and price? Do you swap them? It doesn't matter, as long as you have your total sales at the end. Okay. So what does it tell us right from the beginning? If we charge $12 per canoe, we are renting 36 canoes at that price per day. And then it's telling us what? For every 50-cent increase in our price, so if we were to charge $12.50, okay, so essentially you added 50 cents. What happens to the number of canoes? Yeah, you go down to 34, right? You lose two rentals. If you do that one more time, you now would be charging 13. Guess what? Your sales or your rentals would drop by 2 one more time. So this happens every time. Guess why we do it 3 times? How many points do you need for a quadratic? 3. So profit questions are quadratic as well. Now, you do this last one. You basically go 12 times 36. So 12 times 36, then it's 1250 times 34, and then it's 13 times 32. Just put brackets around all of that. And you can fill that in, okay? Normally what I do, if it's not too much big, the numbers aren't too big, guess what you need to watch out for here. I actually want you to get rid of L1 and L2, okay? It's not always going to be the case. L2, yes, but I'm going to make sure it shows up at the bottom of the screen. What is it asking you for? Use this information to attempt to maximize your income. What should you charge? You know how it's asking for what you should charge? What that means is determine equation of profit as a function of what? Should we go canoes or price? We should go as a function of price because we want to know how much you should charge. Okay, that's what we're going to do here right now. So that means that price goes into L1, and always profit, the last column here, because we have 3 columns. Sometimes students go L1, L2. That's going to be a linear. Okay, in this case we want profit in terms of price. So we go L1, L2 like this. So that's our X, that is our Y. So let's enter that into our calculator. So watch what I do here to give you a little bit of a shortcut. In L2, if you go to L2, I actually multiply this right in there. 12 times 36, you just type that in, that's 432, and then I write it down. Then it's 12.5 times 34, that's 425. And last but not least is 13 times 32, that's 416. So we now have our L1 and L2. We go do our quadratic regression, so stat, calc, 5, L1, L2, alpha trace, enter, and there it is. The quadratic equation would be negative 4x squared plus 84x, where x is the price of the canoes and y would be the resulting profit. Okay. Let's graph this real quick on our screen, because these ones are usually hard to find on the screen. Sometimes the numbers are really big. Okay, you're selling tens of thousands, 20,000 or more. So I'm going to try Zoom 9, see if it helps me. And notice that it's only getting the right leg on the screen. So this is not a good screen at all. Grab your window, and the first thing I change is my X min. I change that to, let's say, -5. And my Y min, I'm going to also change that to -5. Do -10, do whatever you need to do, but make sure they're both negatives. Then I hit graph again to see what's happening. So I like that I now see my X and Y axis. So I don't need to change anything here anymore. I just need to chase the curve a little bit more to the right and to the top. So I'm going to change my window. The X max, I don't know, I'm going to go 50 here. See what that does. It's overkill, but it works. And my Y max, I'm going to change that as well. I'm going to change that to 500, let's say. And there you see the whole thing. And you see those 3 dots that you have in there. Those are the 3 points you came up with. Okay, and it modeled it based on that. What would the vertex tell us, guys, in this scenario? The vertex would be the price you should charge to maximize your profit. That's what the vertex would tell you in this particular instance. So let's do that. Second trace max. Enter, 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 and I get that if I were to charge $10.50 per rental, I would get the maximum profit of $441. So they should charge $10.50 per canoe. Okay, and what is the maximum profit? $441 for that particular day. Okay. If you want to practice more, and I don't give you tables, C and D are going to be there for you to try. I'm going to post the key. Try these ones, except for the AC has one of these in there as well, so you can just try those. Okay, I'm going to stop here.